Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast. This is really a personal testimony, but I need to put in a disclaimer. If you are squeamish or you get disgusted quickly, this is not the podcast for you. um, so, a few years ago, I purchased a house that I renovated. It was a bit of an older house. And we actually took out everything in the bathrooms because it was so infested with black mold. So we redid the bathrooms completely. But while we were living in the house, they were doing the demolishing and, the restructuring of the bathrooms. And I got some of that black mold. I probably inhaled it, but it really settled in my airway tract. And I got really, really sick. Uh, After a year and a half of being sick basically constantly, especially in my lungs and with sinus, I also started struggling with bladder infection. And so, after having seen numerous doctors that could not figure out what was going on, Kim in the USA tested me uh, with muscle testing, and she found that there was mold in my body. And it made so much sense because I knew exactly where it came from. I could even trace back the timeline of when I started getting sick. And so I started taking natural remedies, and eventually all of the symptoms related to the mold were gone. But that led me to realize that there's a lot of things that we struggle with that's pathogen related. And what I experienced as I was sick for that year and a half is that the doctors and the healthcare professionals, they don't get trained in medical school to look for the root of things. They kind of get trained to identify a symptom and what is the chemical tablet or medication that we can give to suppress the symptom, and hopefully the client will get better. And please understand that I'm not dissing doctors. I think there's definitely a place for them and specialists. There are people that have amazing healing anointings and abilities that God gave them, and there's definitely a place for doctors. There's just a gap in the way that they get trained to not look for the root of something. So we've done quite a lot of podcasts where we've spoken about the emotional root of a lot of issues that we have, where there's trauma that's in the body and that causes a symptom. But in the same way, there's often a pathogen that causes a symptom. And our body starts reacting in weird ways because it actually wants to get rid of this pathogen at all costs. But the pathogens have also evolved to secrete certain things and protect themselves from our immune system. And so as I went on this journey with the mold, I actually started also studying parasites specifically, because parasites lead to a lot of very common symptoms that a lot of people struggle with. And, we keep on suppressing the symptom, but we don't realize that we are getting contaminated with parasites all the time. Chances are really good that somewhere in your life you have been contaminated. And so in the past few years, I've done every single parasite protocol and cleanse that you can find, from essential oils to parasite cleansing, colon cleansing, enemas, to natural remedies that you take every day, wormwood, cat's claw, olive leaf extract, neem or garlic, all of those things, liver cleansers. I've done it all. And so when my friends told me about Terry Harold and their experience of their parasite cleanse, I thought, wow, this sounds interesting. I think I should give it a try. But I'm pretty sure when this lady does my protocol, she's going to be amazed at how clean my body is, because I've done so many parasite cleanses, and it's something that I'm constantly doing. Another thing that I just need to tell you before we continue is that a few weeks before I did this parasite cleanse, I actually got ringworm on my hand. I was so disgusted and offended. I mean, how on earth can I be taking all of these natural, healthy things and a ringworm on my arm? It's disgusting. So I just went to the chemist. I put tea tree oil on. I went to the chemist and I was like, you need to give me something that's going to work quickly as a dewormer, because I was disgusted. So I even took over-the-counter general dewormer for humans about 3 weeks before I did the parasite cleanse with Terry. So as I went into this parasite cleanse journey with her, I was really confident that whatever's going to come out is going to be not much. So Terry is, and I speak under correction, don't get offended if I have something wrong. She is a veterinary surgeon. She specializes in pathogens and also in cross-contamination of pathogens between humans and animals. Terry really got quite famous during the 2020 pandemic. She was one of the first people that advocated the use of ivermectin for COVID patients. She very successfully treated a lot of COVID patients, and after that have continued to treat and heal many people that have had weird illnesses and diseases, even children as young as 6 weeks, that have had amazing results. So you can even go and look on her Facebook page. She posts a lot of people's personal testimonies there. The one testimony that really stood out for me is a gentleman that got diagnosed after a long while where no one could figure out what was wrong with him. They decided he's got a rare cancer. They put him through 18 sessions of chemo, and he did not get healed. He actually got worse. I don't know exactly how he found Terry, but she put him on a parasite protocol. And after 4 months, you must see the photos that this guy has posted, the before and the after. He's 100% healed. His symptoms were not a rare cancer after all. It was actually parasites. And I can keep you busy with stories like this forever, but I want to share my own story with you. So Terry's protocol is quite interesting because it does not rely on any other form of diagnosing, but looking at what actually comes out of your body. And that's the gross, disgusting part. But I really love it because someone's not telling you this is in your body and that's in your body, and you just kind of have to take that as a given. You can see it with your own eyes. So as I started on this protocol, when I actually saw what was coming out of my body, I was thoroughly disgusted and also extremely excited, because one of the symptoms that I've struggled with for nearly 12 or 13 years is right under my breasts. If I put my hands in the middle of that area and I press down on the sternum, just under the sternum, it was really painful. It was so sensitive that I could not wear any clothes that would press there. My husband, if he cuddles me at night, could not have his hand or his arm there. It was too sensitive. And what came out when I did this liver cleanse, this parasite cleanse, was a lot of liver flukes, like in ridiculously amounts of liver flukes. And within days of the parasite cleanse, this pain that I've had for 12 to 13 years is gone. The liver flukes actually cause inflammation in my liver. That's where the pain came from. And upon more study, I actually found out that these liver flukes, they secrete high volumes of calcium. And that calcium that they secrete can stay in the body up to 30 years. And it eventually leads to plaques, whatever, on the brain. And it causes Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, motor neuron disease. I mean, if I hadn't done this, what could have happened to me with all of these liver flukes that were in my body for so long? Another thing that came out that was quite disgusting was intestinal flukes. And with the intestinal flukes, a lot of dead intestinal flukes that were busy rotting and turning black already. So that's what we need to remember, is these things, these parasites, they're not just living in your body, leaching off the nutrients that you consume, but they also die in your body. And when they die, their dead bodies actually form this black, rotten mess. And, you know, your liver is part of the organs that are supposed to detox your body. Now you can only imagine how my liver struggled to detox everything that my body needs it to detox. It's struggling with all of these dead things that it needs to try and get rid of. And also it's inflamed. So obviously wherever these flukes and worms and parasites go and get stuck, it hampers the healthy function of that organ and gland and body part. So I want to show you what actually came out when I did this parasite cleanse, because I am just horrified. So the ones that are circled in yellow, that are slightly red in color, those are liver flukes. The ones that are circled in green, you'll see they are yellow in color. They are the intestinal flukes. And then all of that black goo that you're seeing, that's dead, decomposing fluke bodies. How disgusting is that? There you can clearly see the liver flukes. It's the one here at the bottom. You can actually see its tail go like that. I increased this photo, so we lost a bit of the color, but that one's definitely red. And then the other ones that are yellow are the intestinal flukes. And again, in this black, gooey substance, that's the dead, decaying intestinal flukes. There you can see a beautiful picture of the liver flukes. And the black part, again, that's the intestinal flukes. I know this is disgusting. And these are just a few pictures of what came out. There were literally hundreds and hundreds of these things coming out. So this is what intestinal flukes look like, when they all cleaned up and you see them. And they actually cause intestinal obstruction, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, fever, allergic reactions, and swelling of the face and legs can also occur. And you won't believe how many of these symptoms I've been struggling with. And it was all the intestinal flukes. It also causes anemia, which is something that I've been struggling with for years. So I'm constantly taking iron supplements for the anemia. And it was these little buggers that were stealing from my body. This is what a liver fluke looks like. So this is like really blown up now. If you see them coming out, they look like those little things that you saw where you can actually see some of their tails bending, and they're red and kind of a bit translucent. But they lead to indigestion, abdominal pain, diarrhea, constipation, and prolonged infection actually leads to scarring or fibrosis of the liver. It leads to liver damage. This is shocking. And what's even more shocking is, like I said, it's not like I haven't done parasite cleanses. I've done every parasite cleanse, every liver cleanse I could ever get my hands on. And still, this is how badly my body was infected. So what's interesting is that when Terry does the consultation with you beforehand, when she figures out what protocol to put you on to see what comes out, she actually goes back all the way to your childhood. And this really fascinated me, because I think most often when we struggle with a symptom, like if I had to tell a doctor now, I've got a pain just under my breasts, just under the sternum area, very few of them are going to ask you, did you grow up on a sheep farm, or did you grow up with sheep? That's exactly what she asked me. And I did. I grew up on a farm, and we had sheep and we had cattle. And she asked me, did we slaughter our own sheep? And we did, as so many other families that grow up on farms in South Africa do. And one of the things that we used to do is, when they cut the sheep's throat, they would drain the blood into a bucket, and the dogs would drink the blood. And obviously the dogs would then lick you. And that's how cross-contamination takes place. With the cow dung, we used to have a dairy on the farm, so they would milk cows. And I walked in the cow dung up to my knees. I used to swim in the dams and rivers and lakes, so all of those things, eating raw fish, from sushi. I actually had myself tested a while back, long before I knew about Terry, on a bioresonance machine, and it picked up a raw fish tapeworm. And immediately I was so disgusted, I stopped eating sushi, and I love sushi. So I just wanted to share this with you, because I want the word to get out that there's a lot of physical symptoms that you may have. And I actually wrote a newsletter about this. I'm going to post the link if you want to subscribe for the newsletter in this podcast comment section. So please go and subscribe so you stay informed through the newsletters as well. But parasites don't just affect us physically. There's a lot of autoimmune diseases, cancers, allergies, IBS, even infertility that's linked to parasites, but also emotionally. They influence a person emotionally. It eventually leads to anxiety and depression and mood disorders. And even those cravings that you sometimes have, where you can't stop yourself from eating chocolate, sometimes the parasites actually need copper. And so they give you a chocolate craving so that you can eat the chocolate and they can have the copper. All of those cravings for sugar and starch and all of those feelings of I'm so hungry, if I don't eat now, I'm going to die. It's 99% of the time parasites. So I really want to encourage you, even if you have been healthy, like I've tried to live, you've done parasite cleanses before, you've done other remedies. I really want to encourage you. You may be surprised at what actually comes out of your body. So I'm also going to post Terry's details in the description section of this podcast. And if you enjoyed this, I really want to ask you to please like our channel and remember to ring the bell, subscribe, so that you can see when we post new videos. Thank you so much, and be blessed. And I really, really trust that this has helped someone. I know someone needed to hear this, and I know that there's going to be a lot of healing in this process for you.
Please feel free to leave a comment. If you like this video, click the like button. Remember to subscribe to our channel and don't forget to ring the bell.